Hi guys, my name's Doug. Welcome to my messy garage. In the last video on Project Pontoon Boat, we installed a Velex stereo in the steering console. One comment I made at the time though was it's not very loud. And the speakers that I got, well, I had originally hoped they'd be able to mount here and over on this side. They're too big of a diameter to go into this slot, which isn't a problem because they are designed to go in the front of the coaches when I replace them next year. However, I want to be able to hear the tunes when I'm going down the lake this year. The 6x9 speakers that I have in the front, I can hear them, sort of, but if the engine was running, definitely we wouldn't be able to hear them. So I ordered in some stuff. What I have here is a set of 4x6 speakers, and I'm planning on mounting them in this location here. Another item that I picked up is a USB and 1/8" stereo in jack that will mount on the panel and bring the USB and 1/8" into the stereo. So let me get set up and we'll start installing these. Thanks a lot for watching. So I'll start laying out the speakers here. I'm thinking what I'm going to do, the panel that I'm going to mount the speaker to on the other side isn't as wide as this. I think what I'm going to do is kind of measure in a given amount, 3 inches from the seam on the edge, or kind of come up with some kind of distance, and then do the same thing over on the other side. That will work quite nicely. I think we'll start with the audio plug. I've got a large step drill here, larger than this. So what we'll do is we will figure out where we're going to mount this, and then I'll step in. When I get close, I'll just go one step at a time until we get this to mount properly. In case you missed the last episode, I used the masking tape so that I don't get Sharpie marker on the textured finish of the steering console, because it'd be very hard to get out of the grooves. So what I'm going to do is kind of come off of the sides of the Velex, and we'll call that about 15 centimeters. So 7.5 is essentially the center, and we've got about 60, so we'll make the center mark at about 30. That should center it nicely underneath the stereo. And we don't want to get too carried away pushing on the step drill, because it'll probably go through this plastic pretty quick. And it does not fit yet. Perfect. We've got a nice plastic or rubber kind of grommet that goes over the outside, doors to the water out of the USB and audio connector. And then we've got our large nut that will go in on the back side. The cover fits on over top of this, and flip this up. There is the USB and the 1/8" input. We plug the thumb drive in, and automatically the stereo detects that it's got a thumb drive and starts playing music. Very good, but we still have the problem that we can't hear it. So let me lay out some tape on the front of this where I want to mount these speakers. I'll bring you back when I'm ready to start mounting things. What I've decided I'm going to do here is generally center it underneath the stereo, the audio port, and have the speaker. And likewise over on the other side where I've got the switch panels, I'm going to try and center the speaker grill underneath the switch panel. So I've drawn the outer ring of the speaker grill. The way it attaches is goes through the front face, and this ring here is what we have to lay out. Push on the speaker, the grill of the speaker, it just pops out, and we can see quite nicely that the inside of the grill is essentially our mounting template. So we hold this up, take the Sharpie marker, trace around, and get the 4 mounting holes in the corners as well. Now I need to fire up the noisemaker, or as it's properly known, the die grinder, and I need to buzz that out so the speaker fits in. I will bring you back when I have that finished. I've got the rough cut made. It's going to need a little bit more cleanup with the other die grinder. One problem I did run into is the way the dash is built. There's a lip in here that kind of comes up. It's just basically the bottom of the top portion of the console, and I've used it underneath as a good place to attach wires to in a couple spots. However, it was interfering with the magnet on the speaker. Cutting this little notch out of here, that's showing up. Yeah, that's showing up. Cutting this little notch out of here just gave the speaker magnet a place to fit into. As you can see, there's a fairly sizable magnet on the back side of the speaker. So let me open this hole up just a little bit with the other die grinder, and then we'll be able to mount the speaker. We're not quite there. A little bit tight top to bottom, just catching this lip. Side to side isn't too bad though. There, that fits nice. Now I am up just a little bit higher than I had originally intended, but that's kind of because I don't want to get into clearance issues with the magnet in the back. The screws that they've provided for mounting the speakers are self-tappers, and I think they'll work quite well to go in here. We're not going to end up using these original holes that I'd marked, but we should just be able to screw through the grill and have it mounted. That's basically where I want the speaker to be. If you look through these holes here in the grill, you can make out that we're clear to the deck, or to the face of the console. I'm going to pilot drill 2 of these, and then we'll use the impact gun to put the screws in. Drill the other 2 holes. Pull a little of the dust off here. And there we have the grill on. I'm going to use the cable that came with the speakers, first of all, because these are not standard spade lug connectors, so they'll fit on there nice. While this probably isn't nice tinned wire like I would prefer to use in a marine application, we're only going to be using, in this case, about 6 inches of it, and then we'll be terminating into the wiring harness from the stereo. I've hit a little bit of a snag here, not anything too major. These are a cheap speaker. I think I paid $25 or $35 for the pair of speakers, so they're not, my expectations are such. You can see that this trim ring here that goes around the outer cone is not glued down in place properly. I don't think that's a big deal. I'm going to see if I can dig up some black RTV, put it in behind there, and just kind of put a piece of tape on it and hold it in place while it sets, and that should be more than adequate. There's some dust off here. You want to be very careful when you're blowing compressed air at a speaker, because the whole purpose of a speaker is that it moves air, creates pressure in the air, which the human ear interprets as being sound. So if you hit it with too high compressed air, it will blow the cone and essentially ruin the speaker. Well, as is often the case, I thought I had a tube of RTV that I could just lay my hand right on and get this glued together tonight, but I don't seem to be able to find it, so we'll just leave it as it is. Maybe we'll show a little piece of tape on there for now, and by seeing the green in there, it will remind me that I need to get the black sealant. That's got the external part of the jobs that I want to do tonight finished. Now let me bring you inside and we will connect up the wires. Now we've kind of run into this problem before. I've got a big head and there's not that much space underneath the console, but we'll do our best. Hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing. I don't know how well this shows up, but according to this, we've got our green is our left rear, and our purple is our right rear. Now I used glued heat shrink, so we can't just slide it off. We're going to have to actually cut it off. Obviously, I wasn't expecting to have another set of speakers right away, or I wouldn't have bothered doing this, because the boat hasn't been in the lake since I put the stereo in. Take our wire strippers. Hopefully you can see all this, because I can't see my phone. So there's not a whole lot of thickness to this wire, so I'm going to fold it over, and that makes it about the right length. We'll put it in the butt connector, slide it in, make sure that it is in the connector far enough. I'll give it a double crimp, and that one is ready for the other wire. So right here, the speaker comes up. Here's the steering box. So what I'm going to do is use the steering box and come back down the steering cable, because that's what I've got the wiring harness all tie wrapped to anyways. So we'll come back down to the steering cable, use it as a wire guide, and bring it into the wiring harness for the stereo. So you can kind of see on this shot how there's a small terminal and a large terminal. We've got a large and a small spade terminal. They go in the appropriate terminals on the speaker, and that gives us our polarity. So as long as somebody didn't go crazy when they were terminating these wires, theoretically, speakers should be lined up correctly. Now I'd faded it all the way to the front. Now we're balanced. That sounds very nice. If I turn it up too loud, we get a little bit of a pop, pop, pop out of them, but that's fine. We won't turn them up too loud. I'm just about out of daylight, and that basically accomplishes what I wanted to get done today. I think we're going to call this one finished. Thanks a lot for checking this out. Appreciate you getting this far in the video. Can you do me a favor and leave me a thumb up? And if you haven't subscribed yet, I'd appreciate it if you poke that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, and maybe we'll show you some other videos that I have that you might like to watch. Anyways, on to the next mess. Thanks for checking it out. Bye for now.